Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 35 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo, typically joined by my best friend in the entire world, Lee Elias. Unfortunately, for this episode, Lee called in sick at the last minute. This is a very busy time of year for both Lee and I, and he had to go to Long Island yesterday, and I told him nothing good ever comes out of Long Island, and this probably proves my point. Lee got sick. We didn't have enough time to get a fill-in host, and unfortunately, I'm extremely busy this week. So busy that I literally do not have any free time for an entire full week. So Lee and I decided that I would go solo for this episode alone. So we're going to get a little bit of a truncated show here, but you're also going to hear from one voice. So also, I really hope you guys comment and add to the discussion on Facebook, on Twitter, and other online places. Of course, our website, geekswholikesport.com. Comment, let me know what you guys think, especially because it's just going to be my voice this week. So we got a big show, though, planned still. We're still going to try and you're going to get your money's worth. Of course, this is for free. But we hope you enjoy it. We got a lot planned. We're going to talk about the, obviously, football. We're recording on a Sunday night, so the Giants and Eagles have not played yet, but we will touch on it. I will do a brief preview on that game. Spoiler alert, the Giants are going to lose. But what that could also mean for the playoff picture, and do they actually even have a chance against the Eagles? You're saying there's a chance. There's a chance. There's always a chance. I mean, any given Sunday, but probably not. We also go to a little bit about hockey. The Rangers won tonight, 5-0. The Flyers continue their hot winning ways. We got a lot of movie trailers that dropped this week. We got a lot of TV stuff going on, including, of course, our spoiler cast for Mandalorian Episode 5. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about video games. But first, this week, we're going to go sports first. We're going to go football heavy. It was a very busy Sunday around the league. A lot happened. The game that I just finished watching was the Seahawks and the Rams. The Rams won 28-12. Huge playoff implications for that game. The Rams, very much a Jekyll and Hyde team this year, were very much the good Jekyll team today. Their offense came out clicking on all cylinders. A bit of a slow second half, but they didn't really need anything because the defense was playing very, very well. And this is a team that's given up 40-plus points a couple times this year, and then in some of their wins, they've given up less than 14, and today was another one of those days where they gave up less than 14. The defense played very well. To be fair, the Seahawks came out very flat. A lot of third down drop passes. I felt bad for Russell Wilson. He hit his guys in the hands a few times, and they just flat out dropped the ball. Also, Rashad Penny hurt his knee on the first drive of the game. Looked like he hyperextended it, but it could be some more, could be some structural damage. Don't know what it is at this particular moment. Hopefully it's not very bad, though, because that once he went out, the Seahawk offense really started to fall apart because the Rams defense no longer had to worry about any running backs going out and catching passes in the flat, anybody bouncing into the outside. Chris Carson's very good, but he's very much a between the tackles running back, and that allowed the safeties and the corners for the Rams to really kind of zero in a bit more on what's going on in the backfield and not worry about anything bouncing to the outside. So that really kind of limited them in the run game, and it showed. It definitely showed, and they lost a huge game because the Niners, in probably what was game of the year so far in the regular season, and probably what will be the game of the year, won 48-46 against the New Orleans Saints down in New Orleans in a back-and-forth battle. The Niners were down by as much as 2 touchdowns at one point, came all the way back. Absolutely phenomenal. 2 lead changes in the final minute. The Saints were down 45-40 after the Niners tacked on another late field goal. The Saints drove down the field and a quick touchdown pass from Drew Brees, and suddenly it's 46-45. They don't get the 2-point conversion. That's huge because the Saints leave about a minute left in the clock for the Niners. They start marching down the field on a 4th and 2, deep in their own territory. George Kittle, the tight end for the Niners, makes it a spectacular catch, breaks a tackle, and turns what should have been a 5-yard gain into a 35-yard gain. They tack on 15 yards for a face mask, and just like that, the Niners are in field goal range. Robbie, good as gold, kicks a 30-yard field goal at the end, and just like that, the Niners now are back as the number 1 seed. The Saints drop all the way to the 3 seed. They won't drop lower than the 3 seed, of course, because we all know the 4 seed will be the winner of the terrible NFC East. But the Saints drop all the way to the 3 seed because the Packers also won today, easily handling their competition. I didn't watch that game. I have no. Oh, they beat Washington. Yeah, they beat Washington. Of course they did. Washington made it was 20-7 most of the or 20-10. I think 20-9 because they went for 2 points and didn't get it. 20-9 for a lot of this for a while there, and Washington got a last-second touchdown. Didn't get the 2 points. Didn't get the onside kick. That's how the game ends, 20-15. I know there's a lot of bettors out there that kind of meant Washington covered the spread, and so I know a lot of folks were mad about that. But yeah, Green Bay beat Washington in an absolute snooze fest. Minnesota also beat the Lions. They handily beat them 20-7. So no surprise there. So right now, you're starting to see the NFC playoff picture congeal a little bit more, but the Rams beating the Seahawks tonight kind of throw a little bit of a wrench. So they're the one team that really still has an outside chance of sneaking into the playoffs because they're only a game back now of Minnesota. Seattle drops to the 5 seed because they lost. They're now a full game back of the Niners, even though they currently have the tiebreaker. Those two teams will meet once more before the season ends. And of course, the Rams, you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what you're going to get out of them. Again, Packers and Saints are going to win the division. I think, well, shouldn't say that. Packers will definitely make the playoffs. I don't know if they'll win the division because they also play Minnesota one more time this year. That will be a huge game that could have huge playoff implications as well. The Saints already won the South. The Niners are well on their... Niners need to win next week. They'll clinch a playoff berth if they haven't already. The Seahawks, actually, if the Seahawks won tonight, the Seahawks would have clinched playoff berths for themselves and the Niners because the Rams wouldn't be able to catch either of them. But because the Seahawks lost tonight, that's why I believe they need one more win to get in officially. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting end to the season. Of course, there's also the NFC East. The NFC East, the Giants and Eagles play tomorrow night. Daniel Jones out of Duke is hurt. He has a high ankle sprain. So Eli Manning, the forgotten Super Bowl champion, two-time Super Bowl champion, two-time Super Bowl MVP for the Giants, will make at least one more start in his career. And it's actually a big one because he's playing for pride a little bit. His career record, the past couple years, has really hurt his career record. He's now a 500 quarterback in his career. He's had some really great seasons and obviously some really bad ones. But a win would obviously put him back over 500. A win would put him under 500. And if he has any hope of getting into the Hall of Fame, that is something that could be a knock against him. I personally believe Eli's a Hall of Fame quarterback, not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I think that he will get in eventually, unlike his brother, who I believe is a first ballot Hall of Famer. So I do think that he would like to win. Obviously, there's a lot of pride on the line. NFC East matchups, you never know. You never know what to expect. You never know what to expect out of these matchups because there's so much hatred between the teams. The Eagles need this win, however, to show that they deserve even a little bit to win the East. If they lose to the Giants, they really probably should just fold up shop and just let the Cowboys waltz in with like a 7-9 record or something. It's really kind of pathetic because the Cowboys lost by a touchdown to the Bears, keeping their very slim playoff hopes alive. They're 2 games back in Minnesota with 3 left to play. Again, that's not easy to overcome in the NFL, but they're not out of it yet. Like a lot of other teams that got knocked out today. So it's very interesting to see that the Eagles have it's all in front of them. If the Eagles win out, the Eagles win the division. It's just that simple. They have Washington, 2 games against the Giants, and 1 game against Dallas. They're all divisional matchups. You don't know what's going to happen, but if they don't win at least 3 of those 4 games, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Also, I know Lee mentioned this and wanted to talk about it. I mentioned it also last week that a lot of people are angry about the NFC and NFL in general not reseeding with these bad divisional winners automatically getting a home game, automatically getting the 4 seed at the very least. And the thing is that, again, I've said this last week, they had a big article on ESPN, which, by the way, I mean, how far has ESPN fallen in terms of their coverage over the years? I mean, it's just a bunch of BS. They're just looking for reasons to write something to get you to click. Of course, the NFL is not thinking about changing the playoff structure. The NFL, they've dug their heels in on this. They're not going to change the playoff structure. And honestly, they have so many other problems to worry about. The playoff structure is probably the farthest from their mind. They still have a team in Washington, D.C. that plays with a racist nickname. They need to fix that first. They need to fix their overtime rules first. The fact that they still haven't adopted the college rules is ridiculous. I mean, this league is 100 years old now. They're celebrating their 100th anniversary. That's the big thing this year. Obviously, I'm sure you've all seen it, all the NFL 100 stuff. And they've they haven't fixed some basic things still in 100 years. The playoff structure, that's the farthest thing from their problems. That's the farthest thing they have to worry about right now. Well, again, this happens once, maybe twice a decade that you have a really bad division winner getting ahead of a team that's going to probably win 10 games. Because the Rams could probably win 10 games and miss the playoffs. I could definitely see that happening. Whereas the Cowboys and Eagles could end up with 8 or even 7 wins and get in. By the way, Washington officially eliminated today after losing to Green Bay. Finally. So I mean, I think that people, and again, if Philly gets on a roll and wins the division, Philly is not a place you want to go play in January, even if they are 9-7. If you're the Seahawks, you don't want to go into Philadelphia. You just don't. If you're the Vikings, you don't want to go into Philadelphia. It is what it is. You obviously, though, that's why people are like, well, why don't the Eagles then go to Minnesota or Seattle? And it's like, well, it's just the way it is. It's not the best. It's again, we said it last week. It's capitalism, folks. It's not the best system, but it's the best we've got. So I think that that people need to be quiet about that. Need to shut up. But again, comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I feel like I should be giving you a phone number now. Like, hey, call in 1-800-GEEKS-R-US. Geeks Who Like Sports. I don't know how that's way too many numbers. But I feel like that's what I should be doing. But comment below. Let us know what you guys think of the playoff structure. I know there's going to be people out there who are very frustrated. But again, this isn't the first time this has happened. This happened to the Seahawks many years ago. The Patriots were the team that was left outside looking in many years ago. This happens once in a while. The Cowboys are drastically underperforming. Jason Garrett's a terrible coach. Please don't be the next coach of the Giants. Please, Giants, fire Shermer and hire Ron Rivera. And speaking of Ron Rivera, the Carolina Panthers, without him, looked even worse than they did with him. They lost by 20 to the Falcons, who the Falcons, talk about underperforming this year, really seemed to wake up in the second half of the season. It's too little too late. They're now 4-9. You also had some other good games. The Colts dropped a big game to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay woke up at the end of the year. They're dangerous. Jameis Winston seemed to finally get his act together. It's, again, too little too late. I mean, even Daniel Jones at a Duke beat Tampa Bay. But, I mean, it says something that they were able to beat the Colts. And possibly the Colts now are very much far and away, they are probably not going to make the playoffs now. A team that 3 weeks ago, looked like they had the inside track for the AFC South, now probably not going to make the playoffs at all. Partially also because the Titans knocked out probably another team from contention, spanked the Raiders 42-21, doubled them up. The Titans, since Ryan Tannehill took over, 6-1. Marcus Mariota was 2-4. They benched him. Tannehill comes in 6-1 as a starter. Folks, very much Tannehill reminds me of Matthew Stafford. He's a better quarterback than people give him credit for. He's just tremendously injury prone. When he is healthy, when he is on the field, Tannehill is a good quarterback. He's not in the Brady level or the Mahomes level or, anywhere like that, but he's a good quarterback that makes his team better. And the Titans now, with 2 games left against the Texans, after the Texans, the upset of the day, the Texans lost to Denver, technically keeping Denver mathematically alive at 5-8, but they're not going to go anywhere either. The Texans are 8-5. The Titans are 8-5. They're in a tie for the division lead. Also in a tie for a 3-way tie for the 6th seed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who narrowly beat the Arizona Cardinals. Folks, mark my words, the Arizona Cardinals, folks, are only a couple pieces away from being pretty good in the next couple years. That guy Kingsbury, Cliff Kingsbury, whatever his name down is Arizona, he's got those guys playing hard. Kyler Murray, if they can get him some offensive line help, because he's the most sacked quarterback in the league, there's some talent there for sure. Obviously, they need some more pieces on offense to help them out, mostly on the offensive line. They lost 23-17 today. The Steelers, somehow, with some guy that they literally picked up out of Permante's off the street in Pittsburgh and put him in a uniform, this guy Duck, or whatever they call him, the Duck. And, well, he doesn't throw ducks. He's throwing touchdowns for the Steelers, and he's led them right now. Now they're 8-5. So a 3-way tie for the 6th seed in the AFC. Between the Steelers, the Titans, and the Texans, and the Titans and Texans play each other twice in the last 3 weeks of the season, including once next week, including they play again next week, the first of those 2 games. So that's going to be really, really interesting to see who ends up winning the South and who ends up getting the 6th seed. There's still a couple other teams alive, but like I said, the Colts really kind of hurt themselves losing today. The Raiders really hurt themselves losing today. The Browns, technically, they won. They're 6-7. They're still technically alive. But I really think it's going to be a 3-team race for 2 playoff spots here in the AFC. The Buffalo Bills lost to the Baltimore Ravens. Another really good game. Lamar Jackson, not his best day again, yet he still found a way to win. Becomes the second NFL quarterback in history to rush for 1,000 yards in a season. The dude is unbelievable. Still not his best, and he's still got 3 games left to play. He could easily break Michael Vick's rushing record, easily. So there's that. But the Ravens look good. The defense stepped up for today. Really put the Bills in their place. The Bills, again, I said it last week, really haven't beaten anybody yet still, but they're 9-4. You can only play who's on your schedule. And even in the games they've lost, they've looked pretty good. They're competitive. But I still think the Bills right now have a stranglehold on the 5 seed in the AFC, but if they win next week, the Bills will clinch a playoff berth. The Patriots lost a huge game with Baltimore winning. Now, basically, if Baltimore wins next week, Baltimore will have they will lock down the 1 seed in the AFC. They also clinched a playoff berth with their win today. The Patriots now are 10-3. The Patriots play the Cincinnati Bengals next week. I think the Patriots are probably all right winning that game. The Bengals also lost again today. They were the ones who lost to Cleveland in the Battle of Ohio. So definitely, I think that absolutely unbelievable to see the Patriots lose their first home game in almost 2 years. I believe it's 2 years, actually, in Foxborough. To the Chiefs. The Chiefs have clinched the division now with the Raiders lost today. The Chargers won today, but that doesn't matter because they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, and both those teams are long eliminated. The Chiefs win the division. They are right now the 3 seed. They're the 3 seed, but there's a lot of changing that can happen depending on what happens the last 3 weeks of the season. The Patriots could slip out of the 2 seed. The Chiefs now with the tiebreaker could easily move into the 2 seed. The Texans are obviously still alive for can depending on who wins and loses could move up and down as well. But they're again they're in the 4 seed at this moment. If the Ravens win next week because of their tiebreaker with the Patriots, they have a game lead. But because they have the tiebreaker, that's basically like a 2-game lead. The Ravens win next week. The Ravens will be the 1 seed in the AFC, and that is huge because you saw what happened when the Patriots went down to Baltimore earlier this year. Not to say it'll happen again, but that is very interesting. And also says something about the competition in the AFC. The 3 games the Patriots have lost this year: Chiefs, Texans, Ravens. The other 3 division leaders in the AFC. Of course, also need to say this: the Patriots seeing you a second time means that Belichick is going to have a whole new game plan. So I wouldn't rest on their laurels. Nothing is a given in the NFL. The Patriots are still the team, probably the team to beat, even though Vegas says it's Baltimore. I still think the Patriots are still the team to beat until they say otherwise because their defense is so good. They only lost 23-16 today. The Chiefs' defense actually played very, very well, but so did the Patriots' defense. Patriots' defense blocked a punt that led to a touchdown. Chiefs' defense blocked a field goal that led to a touchdown. So very evenly matched game today, but the Chiefs held on. I mean, it came down to literally the Patriots had a chance to tie in the fourth quarter. I think it was 4th and 2 from like the 7, and Brady threw it in the end zone. It was knocked away from Edelman. It was a good play by the cornerback. So that's very much going to be interesting. The AFC playoffs going to be very, very exciting to watch, I believe, just as much as the NFC. Definitely the teams that are on the outside looking in right now deserve to be on the outside looking in. But I will say watch out for the Rams and the NFC. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Titans and Steelers. Titans, Steelers, and Texans. Again, 3 teams, 2 spots, all probably deserving. I'm rooting for both Tennessee and Houston. I would love to see the Pittsburgh Steelers kind of fall apart and have one of the other teams then leapfrog them. But that might not happen because right now Pittsburgh is playing very, very well. So the Jets beat the Dolphins on a last-second field goal. Who cares? I believe that's everything from the NFL today going into tomorrow's Monday Night Football game, which, again, the Giants are 10-point underdogs. They'll probably lose by about 10. I think that's very fair. If I was picking, I don't know who I would take if I was taking the points. You don't know what you're going to get out of Eli. You have no idea what you're going to get out of Eli. And you don't know what you're going to get out of the Philadelphia Eagles offense because they have no deep threats. Even with the Giants' banged-up, terrible defense, if they put 7 or 8 guys in the box and know that Wentz isn't going to stretch the field, they could make a play or two. They could. The defensive line's actually played pretty decent. They do at least put pressure on the quarterbacks. And there have been a couple of really close games. The Giants almost beat teams like the Bears. There was a time there where the Giants still had something to play for. Obviously, the last couple of weeks, they looked pretty terrible because they've kind of given up all hope. But Daniel Jones out of Duke is out of the game. He's not playing tomorrow. So Eli Manning will get at least one more start before he rides off into the sunset. And that happens tomorrow night on ESPN. At least, well, depending on when you're recording this, it could be in the past. But I expect the Eagles to win that game. I'll say 27-17. That's why that 10-point spread is really hard. I think if it goes to 9.5, I think I would take the Eagles. So that's the NFL. Moving on now to the NHL. A little bit of hockey talk. My Rangers beat the Vegas Knights tonight. 5-0, absolutely destroyed them. The Rangers are now 6-2-1 in their last 9, really looking pretty good. Georgiev, their new goalie, kid seems like he's going to be the goalie of the future. I've talked about this with Lee. There was a dark period there where you had guys like what's it? Oh goodness, what's his name? Not Chase Blackburn. That's the linebacker for the Giants. The guy with the busted hand who can't use his hand now because the Ranger coach ran him to the ground. I'll think of it later. Kevin Weeks, guys like that, terrible goalies. After Richter retired, the Rangers were in a dark period there. Gretzky retired, Richter retired, Messier went to the Canucks. The Rangers fell apart. But thankfully, we found Henrik Lundqvist. And now it looks like in Alexander Georgiev, we found our next goalie. Kid's played 4 straight games, 2 shutouts in those 4 games, and he's faced a lot of shots. The Rangers were outshot again tonight, 38-25. That's been kind of the story for almost every game this year. The Rangers, it's their quality, not quantity, has been the Rangers' shots this year, but they've also required their goalies to stand on their head a little bit, which Georgiev, at least so far, has been up to the task. He did lose a heartbreaker to Montreal the other night, 2-1. You lost to Carey Price. 9 times out of 10, you only give up 2 goals in the NHL, you're going to win that game. Unfortunately, this is the one time out of the 10 because the Rangers are playing a very hot Carey Price, who's the only person who's actually playing pretty well right now for Montreal. Because Montreal was on a bit of a schneid there. I think they lost 6 or 7 in a row. They seem to be bouncing back down, though, and it's a very tight race for the wild cards in the Eastern Conference. But, of course, it's still very, very early. We're only 30 games into the season, not even. So there's still a lot of hockey to be played here at this point in the season. But it's good to see the Rangers are competitive. Lee's Flyers doing very, very well, continued their winning ways, fighting out for the division lead, letting everybody know that they are probably a team to be reckoned with. They are amongst the league's best teams now after a very slow start, but that also happens because of Rangers too, a very wonky schedule to start the year. And Alain Vigneault, he's a great coach. I mean, he took the Rangers to a cup final. He took the Canucks to a cup final. He didn't win either one of them, but he knows how to win in hockey. He knows how to win in the NHL. He knows how to get a team to gel, and if he can win it all, he would go down probably as one of the better coaches of this era. He wherever he goes, he turns teams around, and he's doing it again now in Philadelphia, alongside fellow former Ranger Kevin Hayes, who's one of my favorite players. He is having fun down in Philadelphia. He also got paid. Good for him. But I also don't want the Flyers to win because I'll never hear the end of it from Lee. So that's our sports talk for this week. You guys let us know below what you're thinking about with hockey and with the NFL. Who do you think is going to make the playoffs? Who do you think? Who's your team to beat? Patriots, Ravens, the Niners. The Niners look good. The Niners went toe-to-toe with the Saints today in a shootout. And it was a hell of a game, folks. Like I tell you, they are not to be messed with. I think it's going to be a rematch though. The Super Bowl a few years ago. I think it's going to be Niners versus Ravens again. I'm calling that right now. So that's our sports talk. We're going to do a little bit of talk about before we get into movies and TV and a lot of other fun stuff. And you'll see where I'm going with this. I don't know if you guys heard about this controversy about this Peloton ad. This exercise bike. I tweeted the other day, and a lot of people have kind of caught on at the same thing. It's like, if I look, folks, I don't have a lot of luck with the ladies. Look at me, right? Like, it's a given. But even I know that if I were to get my girlfriend an exercise bike for Christmas, she wouldn't be my girlfriend by New Year's. Honest truth. I mean, I don't care. It's a Peloton. I don't care what it is. And honestly, if you need somebody to yell at you to exercise, I'll get a rickshaw, and you can pull me around here in LA, and I'll yell at you all day long. Like, I mean, look at me. We're 25 minutes in. I haven't stopped. I am an expert at yelling at people. I yell at the Giants for 3 straight hours every week. So trust me, folks. I think Peloton's the stupidest freaking thing. But if it works for you, great. But I'm telling you, if you just need somebody to yell at you, I'm happy. I'll yell at you for free. So anyway, but the girl who was in that ad, who plays the wife who gets the exercise bike, is now in a new ad for Aviation Gin, which is Ryan Reynolds' company, gin, and it's all basically she keeps drinking gin martinis, and she's just basically like it's kind of like she's in shell shock from all the negativity from this ad and the fact that she's been just doing nothing but exercising all year long. It's pretty funny, and you would expect nothing less from Ryan Reynolds' company. So I do definitely enjoy that. I'm not a gin guy, but even I'm like, maybe I should try his gin. But speaking of Ryan Reynolds, and see how this is where it's a long transition, but here we are. New trailer for his next movie came out called Free Guy. And the reason why I'm excited about this is it's about a video game NPC that becomes self-aware. He's basically in a Grand Theft Auto 5 style universe, and every day his bank gets robbed, and he gets shot at, and he gets hit by cars, and it looks very funny, a lot of physical comedy. I'm very excited for it. I'm a big Ryan Reynolds fan. Me and Lee are both big Ryan Reynolds fans. I'm sure if Lee has seen the trailer, I'm sure he would be just as excited as I am. Yeah, so definitely that looks very exciting. Other movie trailers, No Time to Die came out this week in terms of trailers. The next James Bond, probably the final Daniel Craig James Bond movie. Dude's been up and down, right? This looks good. Rami Malek, like the trailer looks great. Tons of action. Like it looks like classic Bond. You don't know what's going to happen though. Daniel Craig his run on the series has been very up and down. Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace. Skyfall started great, ended terribly. Spectre started great and ended terribly. So I don't know. I hope that similar to his, I hope that this movie will not be like his time with Bond, with started great, ended terribly. I hope that this will be a high note for him to end on. So for sure. But that trailer looks fantastic. If you haven't seen it yet, Rami Malek is the bad guy. I'm on board. Totally on board. Cannot wait. I'm a huge James Bond fan. I've seen all the movies. I have a Blu-ray collection here. I played all the games. Like, I am a big James Bond fan. Goldfinger is still one of my favorite movies of all time. So I'm all on board with that. And finally, Wonder Woman 84. That trailer just dropped this morning. Looks absolutely terrific. I still don't know how. I mean, it basically looks like Chris Pine. His Steve Trevor is still alive. It's not a dream. He's a man at a time. Whatever happened with that explosion, I don't know. It was a wormhole or something. Didn't see a lot of Kristen Wiig in the trailer, which I imagine is a very purposeful decision. Her movie poster looks fantastic though. She doesn't look. I'm very happy because she doesn't look like the mutant cheetah, where it's like a feminized giant cat, but it's more like an anthropomorph. It looks like a woman in cheetah clothing, which was very much the original kind of cheetah, where she got powers from her costume and it kind of bonded to her and stuff. So it looks like she's. Maybe that might happen towards the end, who knows? But she looks just like a woman who kind of is like she's wearing all leopard print. She's not like a mutant, which I think is the right move. I think that's the way to go with this. And I'm very excited to see what she does as Cheetah. I think Kristen Wiig is fantastic, and I think she's a great casting there. So I'm very, very excited to see what happens with that. But yeah, it looks good. Again, the Steve Trevor thing is the only thing where I'm kind of scratching my head, but the action looks great. Wonder Woman riding the lightning is awesome. For those of you who don't know, that is actually in the comics. I mean, she is a Greek goddess. She rides Zeus's thunder. She can ride Zeus's thunderbolts. It's not that out of the realm. I mean, it's a comic book. It's not that out of the realm. It's not the craziest thing comics have done. But yeah, so there's that. That looks great. All the movies looking really, really good. Good on DC. Also good on DC. I haven't watched any of it, but Watchmen is coming to an end soon. Everybody's talking about it. I'm going to probably binge it. Honestly, I'm going to binge it on HBO once it's all out. Also tonight, starting that, instead of watching it, I'm talking to you guys, because appointment television is dead, Crisis on Infinite Earth starts. Maybe I'll watch it at some point. I don't know if maybe if they put it on some sort of streaming service, maybe they put it on HBO Max, I'll watch it then. But appointment television for me is dead. I don't have the time or the energy to make sure I go sit down and watch something at a certain particular time. When I was a kid, that was a different story. I used to watch a lot of TV as a kid, but I watch less TV now. I play a lot more video games. As Lee usually alludes to, I'm more of a gamer. And also stay tuned. We're gonna have I'm gonna probably be doing my top 5 games of the year list at some point. So that'll be a lot of fun. I played a lot of games this year. I just beat my 53rd video game of the year. That'll probably be my last game of the year. Probably my last game for a while. Thankfully, I look haggard. It's like I've been in the video game mines for so long, and it's just so many, and it's just so. Sorry, I've been wanting to drink that tea for literally a half an hour to try and save my voice. But hey, no commercial breaks. Beauty of podcast, right? So, and of course, real quick, we'll do a quick spoilers. Mandalorian, the one TV show I do watch because I can just pull it up whenever the new episode's up. And for me, it debuting on Fridays is great because then on a Saturday morning, I watch The Mandalorian, which like I used to watch cartoons. But I can watch it whenever I want, and that's one of the key things about The Mandalorian. Episode 5, The Gunslinger. We finally start to see some more of the familiar Star Wars universe. First off, it opens amazingly with a space battle, basically a Top Gun move, where the Mandalorian is being chased by another bounty hunter in his ship. They're in space. The dude's got him on his tail, and the Mandalorian slams on the brakes. The dude sails past. Mandalorian, bang, bang, blows him out of the sky. Takes some damage, though, and has to land on the familiar planet of Tatooine in Mos Eisley, a scum of hive and villainy. And it is great. Amy Sedaris, who is hysterical, absolutely love her. She plays the mechanic who has to fix the ship. And she has pit droids, which is a nice throwback to Episode 1. And she has to fix the ship for the Mandalorian. Of course, who as soon as he sees the pit droids is like, don't touch my ship. No droids. She's none too happy about it, but it's pretty funny, and he has to go look for work on Tatooine, which, being a bounty hunter, and it being, a hive of scum and villainy, he finds work quickly, finds it very much a Han Solo type. This guy, Toro Calican, and very much sitting Han Solo-like in one of the cantinas in Mos Eisley. He's trying to get into the Bounty Hunter Guild, and he takes on Ming-Na Wen, who most of you may know from stuff like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She is a one-off appearance here in the series. I say one-off because she dies at the end of the episode. And she is the bounty. She is a sniper. She's she's on the run. She is a former hit woman herself. And Toro is like, I'll give you the money, but you got to give me the credit. And the Mandalorian's like, okay, that works for me. So the two of them go off on speeder bikes. They cross the Tatooine Dune Sea, and they find. And it's really a great sequence of how they approach her because she has the high ground, which, as we know in Star Wars, you don't F with Anakin. So there's definitely a great sense of nostalgia and tribute to in these moments. But how the Mandalorian gets there and how Toro gets there is very, very smart. And it shows really the ingenuity of the Mandalorian. And I think it's a great development. And then in typical fashion, Toro double crosses the Mandalorian, and how he gets out of that is great. It just and it just shows how he's a cold-blooded. He's cold-blooded. It doesn't matter. He ends up having to kill Toro. Double crosses him, kills the sniper because Ming-Na Wen, Fennec, I think Fenwick maybe. Her character basically convinces Toro that the bounty hunter is worth even more. The Mandalorian is worth even more to the Bounty Hunters Guild than she is. So he's like, well, then you're dead weight, and he kills her. And then he goes and he basically holds Baby Yoda hostage, and the Mandalorian gets out of it because as smart as he is, Toro, very dumb, bullheaded character. He thinks he's smarter than everybody else around him, and he's not. And he gets played by Mando, and everything works out in the end. Amy Sedaris gets all the money that was left on Toro to pay for the repairs for the Mandalorian ship. I believe it's the Razor's Edge, or the Razor's Crest. It's a Razor something. I'm watching a lot of old wrestling the other day. So Razor Ramon, Razor's Edge, coming down with the crucifix. Anyway, so they fly off into space. We also get a tease that somebody is still tracking the Mandalorian, and they've basically been following him and following the trail of dead bodies as we find somebody else. Basically, Ming-Na Wen's character is left for dead. She's dead. Her body is just left in the desert, and somebody's there examining the body. Who is it? We got 3 episodes left to find out. I'm super excited, absolutely enjoying the show. I know some people were like, there was too much fan service. Why'd they go to Tatooine, man? Shut up. We needed a little bit of this. We needed to go somewhere that's familiar in Star Wars. Also, thankfully, we finally get the name of the bounty hunter planet. Something that's the one thing about this series that's been bothering me is that we don't know the names of any of these planets. But Ming-Na Wen's character reveals that the Bounty Hunter Guild is stationed on a planet called Navarro. It's a new planet in the universe. This is great. I love that they're expanding the universe, and they're doing it slowly and methodically, and I am very excited that we now finally know at least the name of one of the new planets we've seen in the series thus far. So that was a lot of fun. So that's great. I mean, it was a good episode. I can't wait to see where it goes. There's only 3 episodes left, folks. But yeah, so it'll be very interesting to see just exactly how the Mandalorian, what happens with Baby Yoda. What's the point of all of this, right? Like, I mean, hopefully this is building towards something. Probably a big season 1 cliffhanger, since we know they're already shooting season 2, but I still want to see it, and I can't wait to see where it goes. And then hopefully it's a satisfying payoff whenever season 2 is finished. Yeah, so that's what's going on in the TV world. But let me know what you guys are watching. What do you think of The Mandalorian? Are you watching Crisis on Infinite Earths? What do you think of it? Are you watching Watchmen? What do you think of it? I'll probably like I said, I'll probably catch up to that later. So typically at this point we do a mashup or some sort of question. So one of the other big things of the week, backtracking to sports, is the XFL released all their team jerseys this week. The New York Gladiators, of course, black, silver, and red, black, gray, and red, depending on your opinion. Some of them are very bright and colorful, like the Vipers in Tampa Bay are bright green and yellow. Every jersey, what I appreciate is every jersey looks very different. Every jersey is full of personality. Obviously it's only 8 teams, so it's easier. But the fact that every jersey looks very, very different, and at a glance you can tell who is who, I think is a big deal. In the NFL, the only things that really have a lot of personality are the helmets, typically. There's only so many base color jerseys that you have in the NFL. With this, they really mixed and matched and did some jersey colors that you don't typically see, and I appreciate that. But anyway, going off on a tangent. The point is that what superhero do you think should have his own jersey, and what would it look like? That's our question of the week. We want you guys, let us know what you guys think. Comment below. Let us know. Again, we actually had some comments this week, but because Lee's not here, I'm going to save them. Including, I will mention this one. Our buddy Chules commented that his Chevy Cruze is named Penelope. Of course, my Civic is named Martha. Lee's, I think it's an Odyssey, is named the Vandalorian. So there's that. So there you go. We appreciate that, Chules. As always, we appreciate you listening and writing in. We do have a bit of a mailbag. We will get to that when Lee is back. But yeah, I really appreciate everybody. If you tuned in, if you listened to me ramble for 40 minutes straight, nonstop. I could probably keep going if I had more topics, but that's all I've got right now. I really, really do appreciate it. It means a lot. Please keep listening. Lee will hopefully be back next week. Last week's episode was dedicated to my grandfather. This week's episode is dedicated to Lee. Get well soon, buddy. I think it's just the flu or something. He'll be fine, folks. Don't worry. But yeah, so hopefully he will be back next week. And things will hopefully start to calm down for me personally as well. This is just a crazy, crazy week. I can't wait to talk to you guys about some of the stuff I'm working on, but I can't just yet. But just trust me, it is time consuming, at least, but for me, it's worth it. So good things on the horizon. So thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, you can listen to Geeks Who Like Sports everywhere podcasts are heard: SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, the whole 9 yards. Also, check out our website, geekswhoLikeSports.com. Follow the Facebook group, Geeks Who Like Sports. Please leave us 5-star reviews and reviews in general on iTunes. We really appreciate it. Share it with your friends. Let folks know. Please listen to this. We've had a few new people. Welcome to the few people who joined this week. We really appreciate it. We're trying to build a great community here. We have a good start. We have a good foundation, and we appreciate everybody who contributes and everybody who talks in the groups. We really do appreciate it. Also, speaking of promoting, check out my friend Maria Paris's, just search on GoFundMe, Rita Guida Pilot. It's something that I helped her write. She's looking for funding. If you feel like donating being generous during this holiday season, giving us $5, we would appreciate it. If you give more, you'll get names in the credits. But we're just, whatever you can give, if you can give, just search Rita Guida. Basically, it's Guido with an A, Guida, Rita Guida Pilot. You'll see it pop up. You look for my name in the description. You'll know it's the right one. We're gonna shoot this. We actually started filming with the little money that we have, but if we can, if you can donate, that'd be great. So I promised Maria I would plug it. There we go. Promise fulfilled. Fantastic. Thank you again, everybody, for listening to Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo. Lee Elias will be back next week. Be better, anyway. I hope that banging that I was doing doesn't pick up on the mic. But yes, thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next week for more Geeks Who Like Sports.